Hi everybody and welcome back to another Legends of Runeterra video. We just barely got the newest cards revealed for this upcoming expansion and there may be quite a few here. Let's go ahead and take a look at them. Opening kind of scene here, not really sure. Alright, so here's the card. It That Stares. Alright, so this is another, I can't remember what these things are called. They're from Freljord. It's like She Who Wanders and They Who Endure. They've got a name, I can't remember what it is though. Um, let's see, an 8 cost 8/8 card, no keywords. There's a play effect ability. It's obliterate all landmarks or deal 2 to all other units. So this play effect or whatever, it can be it's like interactable with things like deny or I guess if it was, well, yeah, deny basically. It can be stopped. Obliterate all landmarks or deal 2 to all other units. Hmm. Kind of interesting. So, at what point is it going to matter that you deal 2 damage to your enemies? Kind of early in the game, I would say. If you're going against an aggressive deck, they're probably trying to finish before you get to round 8, and then at that point you're going to be low enough that they're going to have some sort of reach to take you out. So a lot of like the decks that you're going to be able to actually play this against to get decent value out of are going to be decks that are going to have finished the game before you can even play this card. Things like Mist Wraiths, Spiders, Piltovers on, Aggro, anything like that. They're going to try to finish the game before you get to round 8. Now this does combo okay with potentially like an Overwhelm deck. If you got some heavy hitting Overwhelm units, then they're going to have less health to block you with, but you're also dealing damage to your own units. So I see kind of one potential deck where this could fit in, and that's with like Scarmother Vrynna. If you have a decent amount of Scarmother Vrynnas down, or any of the other Scar Reavers or whatever they're called, the ones that deal damage or that gain damage if they've survived damage. That's really the only deck that I could actually see this working with and getting decent value out of, because you're dealing 2 to yourself, right? Obliterate all landmarks. Like at what point is that going to be worth playing to destroy landmarks? Because if you have a landmark too, like how does that kind of affects what you're doing as well? So unless the enemy has like 2 landmarks out, then I mean maybe. Is this a tech for Star Springs? Could be, I guess. That we oftentimes get to round 8 with Star Springs, so maybe this is just a tech card. I'm not super hot on this card. I don't really like it a whole lot. There are ways to build around it that could potentially work that I'll definitely try out, but for the most part, I don't think that this card is super good. All these kind of obliterate landmark cards seem kind of like tech cards to me, and they're basically just there to be included in case the landmarks get too powerful. So we'll see. We'll see depending on the meta. I mean, the last expansion we had a lot of card or landmarks and experimentation at the beginning of the patch. So this card could see some play and then kind of slowly, uh, you know, go away. So anyway, let's go on. All right. So, another landmark from Freljord. So this is actually kind of surprising to me. I was not expecting more landmarks from regions that already had them. I was expecting them from Ionia and Demacia, but not from the ones that already existed. So, the Scar Grounds, a 3-cost landmark. So you'll probably remember from my video yesterday, I really like the low-costing landmarks, ones that you can get value out of early on in the game. You don't have to sacrifice quite as much tempo early on, so the 3 cost is really nice. I don't mind that at all. So let's look and see what it does. When an ally survives damage, grant it +1/+0 and tough. Alright, so this is some Vladimir synergy, it looks like, and the Scar Reaver synergy, which is pretty cool. You don't have to sacrifice your health for like 1 damage procs to your own units. And if you're like I was really talking about with It Who Stares, you can use this with the Scar Reavers and like Scarmother Vrynna and Scarthane Stefan and the Unscarred Reaver. All those cards that gain stats for surviving damage. Scarmother Vrina is almost the only one that really sees play just because of the overwhelm ability at the end of the game. She got a decent stat line of 3-8. Yeah, so you could include a whole bunch of kind of one-cost damage procking cards in your own deck. Once these guys get tough, then kind of cool. They get even more damage and tough. So I'm actually kind of a big fan of this card. This is still landmark. You're still sacrificing a little bit of tempo, but it's not a whole lot. 3-cost card that does interfere if you do have Scarthane Stefan in hand. It takes up the same slot. He doesn't have Overwhelm anyway though, so you might not be including it into the deck. But I kind of like where this is going with the Crimson line. So things like Crimson Disciple, Crimson Curator, there's just just a lot you can do with the Crimson line in this card generation. Just more damage, more procs, more attack damage, which is pretty cool. This may be a piece that helps Vlad just a little bit more. Alright, let's go on. Alright, another 3-cost landmark from Ionia. So this was the one I was kind of expecting to get. Monastery of Harama. Round start, create a Sanctuary in hand. So we don't know what Sanctuary is. 3-cost card, so once again, not a whole lot of mana sacrifice here, or tempo sacrifice. So 3-cost card coming down. Let's see, I imagine we get the card here. Sanctuary, yep, there we go. 1-cost burst speed spell. Ephemeral, recall an ally, can't be cast in combat or in response to a spell. Alright, so this is very similar to Help Picks, Gems, and is there another one? There may be one more, but this is basically a burst speed spell that you can use only when it's your turn. You can't do it in response to anything, can't do it in the attack phase. It has mild synergy with things like Yasuo. This basically helps if your deck is focused on recalling your units. This isn't, because a lot of times we include recalls into decks to protect our units, or at least I do. If I've got kind of like a Teemo deck, for example, in my Teemo and Lee Sin deck, I like to have recalls to protect Teemo. These recalls, the Sanctuary isn't going to be able to be used to protect. So this sort of idea and landmark has to be built around a deck specifically meant to recall your units and get value out of recalling. So things like, I guess, the Greenglade Elder. What else? What else gets value out of being recalled? Yeah, I mean, just anything that can buff your units over and over again, really. Yeah, anyway, I don't know how I feel about this one. I mean, it's a little bit of synergy for Yasuo. Is there any other champion that could really benefit from this? Maybe Lee Sin, just because you're getting burst speed spells every round that you can use to level up Lee Sin. So Lee Sin a little bit doesn't really directly affect his level up condition besides using the spells. Yeah, that's about it. I really don't like, as far as landmarks go, this isn't super interesting to me, especially since this is the only one that we're getting from Ionia at the moment. And this actually may be a little bit too much tempo sacrifice, because we're only getting a spell from it, and the spell is very limited in its uses, just because you can only play it on your, when it's your turn to make a move. So I don't know about that card. We'll see how it works out. Alright, let's go on to this. 5 costs. This is another Ionia card. Homecoming. I like this art. It's got this, I think this is Lulu's house, walking home or something. Homecoming, a fast speed spell. Recall an ally unit or landmark to recall an enemy unit or landmark. Alright, so this is kind of similar to Will of Ionia, 5-cost recall card, except once again this synergizes with a deck that is focusing on recalling your own unit, since you have to recall your own as well. It also can hit landmarks, which is a pretty good tech for something like Star Spring. A lot of times it's hard to get rid of that card. And then, it's kind of useless at the end of the game where they're just going to win. There's nothing really that you can do in order to stop them from winning. except now you kind of have one with this homecoming card. Recall an ally, unit, or landmark to recall an enemy unit or landmark. So yeah, this is sort of focused on the recall aspect. If you are running a recall heavy deck meant specifically to recall your own units, then you would probably include this. I don't really see it, landing in really any other deck. It's kind of interesting, and there are a few, I guess, ways you could play this around the recalls. It'd be interesting to mess around with it, but I don't necessarily see this card being super prevalent in any meta, at least in the beginning. So we'll see what happens with it. It's interesting, but yeah, it's just kind of like a Will of Ionia, so don't really know what to think yet. Alright, let's go on. A 6-cost Bilgewater card, Wiggly Burbelfish. It's elusive, 6-cost 3/1. Wow. Reduce my costs by 1 for each spell you've cast this game. When I'm summoned, create a 1-cost spell from your regions in hand. Yeah, I don't really think this card is that good. It's elusive, but it's only got 1 health. A 3/1 at 6 mana. So if you have a very heavy spell deck, you have a limited slot for what units that you can really add into the deck. Are you going to be putting this 6 mana card in your deck for like payout later on? A 3/1? Like, I don't know. Am I missing something here? Like, it's really easy to kill this with any spell. I don't really see this being that good. And then this, like, reducing the cost, like, yeah, sure, you can get it down pretty easily to 1 or 2 mana relatively quickly. Especially this is from Bilgewater, so it's meant probably to be kind of a Fizz support card. But are you going to be including this card over any other card that's available or elusive from Bilgewater? I don't really know. There's always a chance that you're going to draw this early on and then just not be able to play it for a little bit. But yeah, I'm not really super. I don't think this is that good of a card. 3/1 is going to be easily interrupted. Yeah, if it's an elusive meta, then it can just be blocked and killed automatically. It's kind of like a heavy investment for a nice payoff later on, but I just don't see it really making it into decks. Could be wrong about that, but it just doesn't seem like that good of a card with its 1 health stat line. Yeah, guess we'll see. I don't really think it's that good though. This is an epic card too, by the way. Alright, let's keep going. Boom Ship. This looks like the last one here. Boom Ship, slow speed, 3 mana cost card. Deal 1 to a unit, then summon powder kegs equal to the amount of damage dealt. So this is like a barrel compound card, a compounding barrel card. So the only way to really deal more damage is if you have the ability to play more damage. So I guess like the Funsmith could work with this as well. If you've got barrels out already, then of course you're like compounding the barrel damage, so you'll deal multiple damage to a unit. If you got multiple barrels out, you can get two barrels, 3 barrels out, whatever. If you got the Funsmith out, it's dealing 1 extra damage, so you get 2 barrels. So yeah, kind of cool. You can kind of compound with the barrels already out. If you've got multiple of these, so like I said, compounding, so the first time you'll deal 1 damage, you get 1 barrel. The second time you'll deal 2 damage, you get 2 barrels. The third time you do damage, you get 3 barrels, which is kind of cool. So this could actually kind of work with like counterfeit copies where you could put a ton in your deck and then end up dealing a whole bunch of damage. The problem with that is you're investing a lot into the barrels, and so they're pretty easily taken out just because they're vulnerable, but kind of a funny idea. This could be good in certain cases. It's still a slow speed spell. The barrels are pretty easy to take out. Are there ways to protect it? Like, are they worth putting in and spending this 3 mana to do that? Probably not. I think this could be kind of fun for meme decks, but I don't think it's going to go further than that. I think the slow speed really hurts it. And just being able to interact with the barrels themselves that you already have, and kind of reduce the damage that this card is going to do, and then also its payoff, which is producing more powder kegs. So I don't really think this card's that good. and mostly because it's a slow speed spell. So anyway, I think that's probably the last card here. We're not going to be getting a champion tomorrow, it looks like, so we'll probably get more followers from the champion the next day. So anyway, some interesting cards here, some not so interesting cards, I would say, as well. Looks pretty. I like the landmarks that we got today. Got to see a couple of landmarks, two of them from I wasn't expecting to see it from Freljord, so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, that's about it. So if you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you tomorrow. Thanks.